Welcome in to another new AMP podcast. I'm your host, Ben Dubose, and I'm the news editor for the AMP publications team. In that role, I create content for both Materials Performance Magazine and Coatings Pro Magazine. Both are officially member magazines of AMP, which is the shorthand acronym for the Association for Materials Protection and Performance. For today's podcast, in something of an in-house episode, I'm happy to be joined by Rebecca Bickham and Mercedes Akundan. Rebecca, if you don't know, is basically the face of Materials Performance, or MP, as editor-in-chief of the magazine, and Mercedes is the technical editor. For most of today's show, we're going to be talking about the 2027 MP Corrosion Innovation of the Year Awards program, for which nominations are currently being accepted. Rebecca and Mercedes, thank you so much for joining me today. Why don't we start by having each of you tell our audience a bit about what you do with the magazine, and Mercedes, you can share a bit about your day job as well. Mercedes, let's start with you.
Sure. Hi, everybody. Thank you, Ben, for inviting me today. I serve as the technical editor for MP Magazine, and there I'm involved with selecting technical papers and working with the authors to review and prepare those papers for publication. I do really enjoy this role because I get to see the latest research and technologies and challenges out there in the corrosion world. With regards to my day job, I'm a senior corrosion engineer with a large engineering firm in U.S. I've been with them for over 13 years now, and this job gives me an opportunity to see the corrosion problems in the real world across many different industries and different type of structures. I think the two roles kind of complement each other very well because one keeps me connected to the new research and technical development and new technologies out there, and the other one keeps me connected to the practical challenges that the engineers and asset owners are facing every day. I'm very happy to be here today.
Thank you for taking the time. Rebecca, over to you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rebecca Bickham. I'm the editor-in-chief of Materials Performance, and I've been with the magazine over 7 years now. And in my role as editor-in-chief, it kind of allows me to not only kind of make big picture decisions in regards to the magazine, but also what I really enjoy doing is like the editing, so the kind of day-to-day stuff as well. So I'm excited to be here today. Thanks, Ben.
As far as the awards program, which both of you are involved with, the official website can be accessed at amp.org/MP Innovation Awards. You can also go to materialsperformance.com and find links to it there. And when you're at the official site, you can find the official nomination form, you can access past winners, as well as answers to many frequently asked questions, or FAQs. We're going to be expanding a bit more on those in today's podcast, but the FAQs page on the website is a good reference point if you need a concise summary. So, Rebecca, let's start with the basics. How did this program come to be, and what's the overall purpose?
Okay. So the MP Awards program started back in 2012, and it's been around for almost 15 years now. The primary goal of the program is that we wanted to give the corrosion community a chance to highlight their groundbreaking work. So we thought this was a great way to go about it. We're holding it every other year, so it's a biannual program. And the 8th awards presentation is set to take place at the 2027 AMP Annual Conference and Expo in Columbus, Ohio next April. An easy way to remember is that the nominations are taken in even years, and then the formal announcement and presentation is made at the next year's AMP Annual Conference and Expo. That's the odd year. Winners are announced by the AMP president and awarded large trophies, which can be displayed at the winning company's booth in the exhibit hall. And then we also have a video feed of the awards ceremonies. So we'll have both a live stream and then an archived version. And those can be accessed through our AMP and MP social media outlets. So we'll post that video to our website as well. And then after conference, the trophies typically go back home to each winner's office or wherever it is that the winner thinks that the trophy would have the most value. So the idea behind that is that we want to celebrate and showcase our winners, and then these trophies are a symbolic way to kind of display that to potential clients or customers of those winners. There are a few other perks as well. Each winning innovation gets profiled in either a future print issue of Materials Performance or at our materialsperformance.com website. And we also offer the winners the chance to come on this podcast and discuss their winning innovation. And then finally, I'll add that some of the winning innovations do end up getting discussed as technical presentation at the next year's AMP annual conference. As far as the 2027 awards, our nomination period is now open. That started on June 30th, and it remains open until October 15th. From there, the panel of corrosion experts will judge the nominations and select up to 10 winners. It's a very competitive process. In most of our recent award cycles, we've had in the ballpark of about 50 nominations. So when you consider that, narrowing it down from around 50 to 10, it's not easy, and it truly speaks to just how accomplished these winners are. They go through 2 detailed rounds of judging, and the panel is represented by all areas of materials protection and corrosion control, and it includes input from Mercedes, MP's technical editor.
Excellent. And I'm happy to announce within the last few days, I've gotten confirmation that the awards presentation will take place outside the exhibit hall on the Monday of conference. That's the way it's been the last few cycles, and that's a really big perk to winners because everyone at conference is waiting for the ribbon to be officially cut. And so it's a built-in audience when our winners are brought on that stage and honored and recognized in front of their peers. It's really exciting for them, and it's a value add for both the winners and the program overall. So Rebecca just spoke to the judging. Mercedes, I want to bring you in on that point because you are involved there. When it comes to actually narrowing down the nominations we get, which we've already got multiple in, that's a very good sign early in the program. When we try and trim it to 10 or fewer, what are the judging criteria?
Yes. Very good question, Ben. So we do have a judging process, and this judging process uses a numerical score system. So we have a means of evaluating each innovation against the same criteria. We look at how clearly the innovation is described and what it does and how it works and what makes it innovative. We also consider if it improves an existing corrosion control solution or provides something that is really unique and new out there. Another important part of this score is the supporting evidence. The idea could be really great and new, but the performance should be demonstrated through the lab testing or real field case study and results. Then we look at the practicality of the idea and the technology. Can it actually be incorporated in the existing corrosion prevention and control activities? And ultimately, does it provide a meaningful benefit to the corrosion control industry? So while we have a single numerical score at the end, Ben, the score really reflects a combination of innovation, demonstrated performance, practical applicability, and overall benefit to our industry.
Yeah, and I'll also note that after the first round of judging, those innovations that pass the initial qualification test are subsequently posted to the awards website. So even for nominees who don't ultimately receive one of the final awards, again, up to 10, there's still potentially some value from having a qualified nomination posted on the awards website. Because when you think about this program at a high level, what we're trying to do is provide some independent third-party recognition of the most promising new technologies within our industry. There's so many things being developed all the time that without programs like this, it can be difficult to distinguish between them. So the idea is to bring in a panel of expert judges from many different aspects of the industry. Think coatings and linings, cathodic protection, chemical treatment, material selection and design, modeling and risk assessment, and so on and so forth, and have them grade each innovation. So we really put a priority on having both insiders and outsiders, so to speak, grade each innovation. For example, if someone is submitting a cathodic protection innovation, Their nomination form will be looked at both by someone with specialized CP knowledge and also someone from another field within the industry. The idea is that a winning innovation needs to have appeal on multiple levels, both in terms of having appropriate technical specifics, while also making its purpose more easily understood at a layman's level, or at least layman's level in the context of our industry. So with that as the backdrop, let's talk more specifically about qualifications and getting to that officially qualified stage. Rebecca, what are the qualifications for something to be successfully considered a corrosion innovation within this program?
Of course. So first, the innovation must have been in some sort of development either on or after January 1st, 2022. Of course, this date changes with each subsequent awards program. And the innovation must be feasible and show the potential for a significant positive effect on corrosion control. The innovation can be related to coatings and linings, materials, design, equipment, testing, monitoring, modeling and risk assessment, cathodic protection, chemical treatment, or anything else that directly relates to corrosion prevention and mitigation.
And what are the eligibility requirements?
For our program, we allow individuals, companies, organizations, and governments from around the world to submit nominations. It's completely acceptable to self-nominate and even to submit more than one nomination. To address a common question we get, we do allow people to submit a previous nomination from a past awards program, but not if that nomination actually won an NP award. So in other words, a finalist who did not win can submit again, but an actual awards winner cannot. Unlike other awards contests, there is no cost involved. You just fill out the nomination form from the NP Awards website and submit it electronically. We have both a direct form that you can fill out through the website and a Word form that you can download, fill out, and email in the old-fashioned way. Either of those are acceptable.
And then once submitted, the nominations get sent to our judges by myself and Carrie Cole, the editor of Materials Performance. In the meantime, if you've got direct questions about the process, you can always email us at mpinnovationawards@amp.org, ampp.org, or you can reach out to Carrie or me directly. The format is firstname.lastname@amp.org. Now, as far as the actual judges that we send these nominations to, we're not going to specifically identify who they are because we don't want people reaching out directly to the panel, because in those scenarios, you can run into a bias issue. We don't want anybody asking for personal favors. We want there to be a separation so that there can be an objective judging criteria and one that's detached from the nominees themselves. The specific identities are kept confidential to preserve the integrity and the neutrality of the awards program as a whole. But what we can say is that they represent the entire ecosystem of materials protection and corrosion control. So when you look at the various categories that we have within the awards, we bring in people with expertise in each of these individual fields. That's how we try and make the program as broad as we can to represent the entire industry. I'll also note that in terms of our actual winners at the end of this process, they're not limited by category. For example, you're not going to have only one coatings and linings winner and only one cathodic protection. As Mercedes said earlier, all of the entries are numerically scored, and the highest based on the numerical scoring will win the awards independent of category. So in a given year, if we happen to have a bunch of really strong innovations within cathodic protection, then we can have 3 or 4 winners within cathodic protection. We don't want to put an artificial barrier up on how much must come from one specific niche of the industry. The bottom line is that at the end of the process, when we're tallying up the numerical scores in all these various categories, we want to feel confident that the 10 top scores are the best technical innovations within that cycle. And that's what we're going for, regardless of whether it's materials design, CP, coatings and linings, instrumentation, you name it. We just want the 10 best technical developments and innovations, and that's what we think we're able to do with the way we've set up this program. We're not going to put up any barrier to that. Mercedes, with that in mind, do you have any tips or tricks as far as what can make a nomination stand out? As somebody that's had involvement and has involvement with the judges and the panel, what can be the secret sauce, if you will, to a successful nomination form?
Very good question, Ben. One thing that I really want to emphasize is the practicality. There are so many brilliant people in the corrosion control community out there, and every year we really see some truly impressive technologies that being nominated. But for an innovation to really stand out, it needs to go beyond being a great idea. We want to see how it actually can be used out there in the field and in the real world. As a corrosion engineer, that's something that is very, very important to me personally. I want to understand how does the technology fits into the broader corrosion control field. Can the nomination show us the evidence how it works, and either in the lab or actual field case studies? And can it be incorporated into what we already have and we already do? So to sum it up, actually, the key important thing I would say is the clear tech plus the practical use in the field.
All right, and with that guidance in mind, let's get to the specifics of actually filling out a nomination form. Rebecca, what are the key dates and information when it comes to actually filling something out?
Of course. So each nomination form must be completed and submitted by October 15th, 2026. The form will ask for a full description of the innovation, and that description should include information such as the need for the innovation, the process used for developing and implementing the innovation, and then an evaluation of the results and criteria used to determine its success. The summary description should be 300 words or less, including one photo, and the full description should be limited to no more than 10 pages. Again, on the form, participants should select the category that they feel best fits the innovation, and those categories include coatings and linings, cathodic protection, materials, design, chemical treatment, instrumentation, testing, modeling and risk assessment, or other. Entries that do not meet the eligibility criteria will be disqualified, and those are not posted as finalists on the awards website. Nominations submitted after the deadline date may not be accepted.
And I know that October 15th date might seem a little early since it's more than 6 months before we actually announce and hand out the awards and trophies next April in Columbus, Ohio. But there is a good reason for that. By getting everything in during October, it really helps with regards to the judging panel and specifically with recruiting the best judges that we can. The bottom line is that the quality of the judges has a strong correlation with the quality of the program. And as an industry, we should all want this awards program to do well because it recognizes the best technologies and the best developments within corrosion control. If hypothetically the deadline was at the end of November, that would be going into the holiday period, and a lot of people and potential judges are going to have so many other responsibilities going on, their normal job, family, friends, all sorts of responsibilities that make it difficult to judge and make time around that time of year. And then when you get back from the holidays in January, we all know what that's like, trying to catch up with hundreds or thousands of emails in your inbox. So it's challenging. And logistically, things need to be finalized at least a couple of months before the conference. We need to get the trophies printed out. We have to plan the logistics of the ceremony. We have to ship things. There are meter boards showcasing the winners. There's a lot of logistics and planning that goes into it. So in order to do all of that, we need to have the judging cycle as early as possible, especially because there are multiple rounds. That takes a lot of time for our panel. And if we're asking them, keep in mind, these are very busy and accomplished people. If we're asking them around the holidays to drop everything and get it back to us within a couple of weeks for multiple rounds of judging, that's going to harm our ability to have the best judges because it's just not realistic for many people to immediately be taken away from their normal jobs as well as their families and other responsibilities around that time of year. So bottom line, the earlier the nominations are in, the better chance we have to recruit the best judges because then the panel is going to have time to properly judge and rate all of those submissions. And at the end of the day, we can then be confident that we've got the best innovations in the industry and that the MP Corrosion Innovation of the Year Awards program is in fact reflective of the industry's best developments during that nominating cycle. Again, we all benefit when this program represents the corrosion industry in the best light. Rebecca, before we wrap up, what's the fine print? I know there's a little more background information and legalese that people should probably be aware of.
Yep, we've definitely got some of that. So starting off, MP reserves the right to disqualify any nomination that is frivolous, not feasible, incomplete, illegible, or fails to meet the nomination requirements. The magazine is under no obligation to publish or exhibit any entry, and the judging panel's decisions are final. MP is not responsible for any incorrect or inaccurate information, whether caused by awards program participants or any of the equipment or programming that is associated with the awards program. In consideration of MP agreeing to consider their nomination, each participant grants MP and AMP a royalty-free license to copy, edit, display, publish, and make available their nomination description and photos. This license applies to any format in connection with the awards or the promotion of them. By submitting a nomination, participants confirm that they have the right to nominate, and they have obtained all necessary consents, permissions, and authorizations. It also confirms that the entry does not infringe on any third-party rights. The awards recipients will be contacted by email in early 2027, and the winners will be publicly announced and honored at the AMP annual conference next April in Columbus. All top innovations will also be announced and recognized in MP Magazine. Finally, MP is not responsible for any costs associated with attending the award ceremony or shipping or transporting the trophies after they have been presented. There are a few more disclaimers, of course, but I think you get the idea. It's all available in the fine print at www.amp.org/MP Innovation Awards.
Yeah, and Rebecca just mentioned that the top innovations will be announced and recognized in MP Magazine. That will also be the case on materialsperformance.com and our podcast network. We've done more and more of that in the recent awards cycles, and I would expect that to continue. It's very useful for us when we have independent third-party vetting of these newer technologies, because it helps us as a publication to feel confident that these are the right ones and the right people to spotlight, because we've got that independent vetting that really helps us as a publication to feel confident in the content we're putting out and its relevance to the industry. And Mercedes, I'll bring you in there because many of these new technologies can also be candidates for technical articles in the magazine, right? Either print or digital. So if someone wants to, if somebody wants to turn one of these into a technical article, how does that process start? Where should they begin?
Sure. Ben, a lot of these technologies that we see come through the Innovation Award have really good, interesting stories behind them, and many of them could potentially make a great technical papers for our MP magazine. And we are always looking for such papers. We are looking for great ideas, great technologies that have a great backup of the field and lab testing. What we are looking in an article is a little bit different than the award nomination. For the articles, we want the authors to go a little bit deeper into the technical side and explain the problems that they're trying to solve and how the technology works. And most importantly, provide the supporting data, either lab testing result, or better than that is the case studies, field case studies that demonstrate the technology performance. What I want to say to our audience is that don't be intimidated if you don't have a perfect draft for your idea and your paper. We are here to help. As a technical editor, I'm here to help and guide the authors in order to make that idea and draft into a perfect paper. So please don't hesitate to reach out to me and Rebecca, and you can find additional information on the MP Magazine's website with regards to how to submit a paper.
Yeah, if you go to materialsperformance.com, you'll see submit an article in the top bar, and click on that, and that'll give you more specifics. All right, I think we're done for today. Rebecca and Mercedes, thank you so much for taking the time to join.
Of course, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. And as far as the awards program, again, you can certainly email us with follow-up questions at mpinnovationawards@amp.org. But the bottom line is that a lot of the information is already available online, either at materialsperformance.com or at that awards website, amp.org/MP Innovation Awards. And with that, we'll put a bow on this one. On behalf of Rebecca Bickham and Mercedes Akundan, I'm Ben Dubose, news editor with AMP Publications, And if you want more resources from AMP or to learn more about the association, just visit the flagship homepage at amp.org or the MP website at materialsperformance.com. With that, we'll officially adjourn for today. As always, thanks for listening, and we'll be back soon with more new episodes.